aquí era donde yo vivía. Pero la tumbó completa.
Yo vi mi cuarto, no tenía el techo, no tenía una pared. La cama estaba llena de hongos, cucarachas por todos lados.
¿Ustedes qué hicieron con los muebles y las cosas de ustedes?
No, todo fue pérdida.
Todo pérdida.
Los cuartos de las nenas, las camas, las ropas, todo.
¿Y ahora en dónde se están quedando?
Ahora nos estamos quedando acá, si me quieres acompañar para que veas.
Ok.
We're in Puerto Rico 6 months after Hurricane Maria. Krystal Torres and her daughters lost everything in the storm.
Cuidado aquí.
She says their home, like tens of thousands of others, was flattened. They've rented a room at a neighbor's house for now.
Aquí estamos en el cuarto donde yo me estoy quedando. Y en la noche le pongo un matre aquí a las niñas. Ajá. Allí duerme la bebé. 4 meses llevamos aquí ya.
¿Y cuál es el plan?
Pues seguir comprando cositas poco a poco en lo que podemos levantar, aunque sea el piso. Pero la cuestión es estar en mi área, donde no estorbe a nadie, donde no moleste a nadie. Mis hijas se sientan a gusto.
Ahora, en poco tiempo, llega la temporada de nuevo de huracanes.
Así es. Y eso nos tiene aterrorizados.
With the next Atlantic hurricane season just around the corner, we've come to Puerto Rico to find out how the island's most vulnerable residents are coping and preparing for what's to come.
¿Y tú qué pensaste cuando viste la casa así?
Dije, yo pensé que lo iban a caer en la calle. Y le dije a mami que íbamos a hacer.
¿Tiene dificultad para dormir? Sí. Falta de sueño, no está comiendo bien, no está durmiendo bien, tiene coraje. Está también relacionada a la sensación de que le va a ocurrir algo por lo que vivió en el huracán.
Maria was the most powerful hurricane to hit Puerto Rico in 90 years, and it cut a path straight across the island.
Perdió su casa. Ok, qué chulo. Está llamando, ¿verdad?, a la línea Pateamska. Somos una línea de intervención en crisis.
The winds destroyed the power grid, and cell towers collapsed. Half a year later, some areas are still without power.
Cada vez que llueve, usted se siente muy ansiosa.
Yo sé que usted está experimentando una tristeza bien fuerte y yo estoy aquí.
More than 1,000 people died from the storm and its aftermath.
Usted me indica que no puede más.
The hurricane passed,
¿Cómo piensa hacer?
but the crisis continues.
Su esposa ahora mismo está presentando unos pensamientos de ideas suicidas.
Tenemos que recordar, ¿verdad?, que tenemos vida y que la vida es importante.
Calls from across the island come to this call center, voices weighed down by trauma and loss.
Usted la está mirando en estos momentos.
70,000 homes were destroyed, and at least 250,000 were badly damaged. The blow to housing hit low-income communities the hardest.
Cada vez que miro mi área donde estaba mi casa, muchas veces de noche me he sentado ahí a llorar, pidiéndole a Dios que nos ayude.
¿Y qué piensa hacer entonces si recibe algún tipo de ayuda? ¿Qué van a hacer?
Mi casa, no ponemos por mí porque ya yo estoy hecha y paga, pero mis nenas.
Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, and Puerto Ricans are American citizens. After a disaster of this scale, it's the federal government's job to respond.
Aquí están las cartas de Fema.
Krystal had hoped to get help from the U.S. disaster relief agency FEMA to rebuild her house. The agency can pay up to $33,000 per family.
Solamente Fema nos dio $1,000 para rentar una casita o un cuarto por 2 meses y de ahí no nos han dicho más nada porque me denegaron el caso, pues según ellos tenía que tener un seguro de inundación estaba puesta en ningún seguro.
¿Y cuál es tu mayor preocupación?
Mi preocupación es que no vaya a pasar cualquier cosa y nos tengamos que ir de aquí, no tenemos para dónde ir. No tenemos para dónde ir realmente.
Krystal and her daughters live in Villa Hugo, a community named and founded after another major storm. In 1989, Hurricane Hugo left thousands homeless. Some resettled here, on government land.
En su totalidad, 24 personas. Encontramos un área fértil para donde nosotros poder construir un techo seguro para nuestra familia. Y estos terrenos estaban baldíos. Pero ahora la comunidad cuenta sobre 6,000 habitantes.
Esto construyeron en parcelas ilegales.
Bueno, no ilegal, diríamos, nosotros por la necesidad rescatando nuestros terrenos. Un lugar seguro, tener un sitio que fuera de nosotros, y por esa razón estamos hoy aquí.
Estamos en Villa Hugo 2.
Villa Hugo is what's known as an informal community, though it's been here for nearly 30 years. Nearly everything was built by the people themselves, without permits and usually not to code.
¿Estás bien, mamita?
It's a makeshift way of life that's all too common in Puerto Rico, where more than 40% of people live in poverty.
Aquí no tenemos alcantarillado, no tenemos bomba ni nada de eso. Y es que llueve. Si llueve bastante, pues las personas, los que están bajitos, sufren.
Así es que se vive.
Así es que se vive esta comunidad.
Esto es traumático, vivir esa situación. Aquí el señor que está por allá, que ni habla, tiene su casita allí, que se le fue el techo y se inundó. Y a él le mandaron $900 también. Y él perdió todo.
Oscar Carrion Navarro runs a business that doubles as a gathering spot for neighbors. It's also where he's now living after losing his home in the storm.
Tiendita para poder seguir manteniendo a los nenes, y aquí estamos, traemos cosas que nos han donado también.
Sí.
Ahí duermen los dos nenes, ahí duerme la nena, ahí dormimos nosotros. Esos eran los baños antes del negocio, usamos los mismos baños.
¿Cuánta gente duermen aquí?
Ahora mismo 6 ahora.
6 durmiendo
Mi
en
familia, ahora está mi familia.
Sí.
Pero el primero eran todos matres inflables, habían varias familias.
¿Y tú tienes título?
No, no tengo título.
No.
Eso es parte de lo que nos tiene a nosotros bien limitado, a esta comunidad, los títulos de propiedad.
Unlike the mainland U.S., where construction is more strictly regulated, roughly half of all homes in Puerto Rico are informal.
Aquí había una casa.
Sí.
¿Esta era en las escaleras para tu casa?
Eso es lo que
la
es.
entrada.
Sí. Por 19 años, casi 20 años.
Y ahora cuando ves esto así, ¿cómo te sientes? Esto...
Muchos recuerdos, pero no hay mal que volver no venga.
Después de María, ¿vino aquí algún inspector?
Nos preguntaron por los títulos, obviamente le explicamos que aquí no habían títulos. Nosotros no somos menos que nadie porque esta es una comunidad pobre. Al contrario, es una comunidad que yo encuentro que no es una comunidad que vive al que le den todo. Porque aquí las calles nosotros arreglamos con cantería de bloques, con asfalto frío que nosotros compramos. El agua, el acueducto lo hicimos nosotros. La aduba ahora mismo lo hicimos nosotros, una comunidad luchadora.
After the storm, neighbors pulled money to buy an old bucket truck and other materials. Oscar and a few neighbors say they've been doing electrical repairs themselves.
No ha venido nadie de la autoridad a decirnos vamos a terminar lo que se está haciendo.
The low-income areas were the most hit by the hurricane.
David Carrasquillo is an urban planner and president of the Puerto Rican Planners Society.
If you need 20 nails to do something, most of these communities have 4. If you needed 4 boards to make a wall, they had 3. Necessity and scarcity really was the factor that hit them. Progressively, because this is not done from one day to another, you can lead these communities to be formal and to comply with the different codes that the country has. If you keep a 53% of the population without including them on what's your plan or what's your idea of a future Puerto Rico, what are you doing?
12 años.
Acabando con los pobres.
Está como en una depresión. Ya cada rato se pasa llorando que quiere su casa, pero es que ellos no pueden entender que a veces no podemos.
Yo he cambiado mucho la conducta. Yo no sé qué me pasó, pero me siento como diferente. Yo he bajado mucho en la escuela. Yo me quedo en el espacio pensando en todo lo que ha pasado. A veces me siento en esa guagua y miro esa casa de allá arriba. Y digo, si mi casa fuera así de bonita, si mi casa tuviera de cemento completa, si yo tuviera mi cuarto, mi cama, mi colección de Barbie, ahora ya tenemos que estar así.
¿Y qué has aprendido con esta experiencia?
Que no todo va a durar para toda la vida. Yo siempre he pensado eso. Siempre uno tiene que volver para atrás y comenzar para adelante.
¿Y tú tienes fe que las cosas van a mejorar?
No mucha, pero tengo fe.
Facing possible homelessness, Krystal's appealing for more help from Fema. We accompanied her to a legal clinic.
Usted va a apelar o porque Fema le denegó la ayuda o porque la ayuda que le dieron fue muy poca y fue insuficiente. Y eso usted no...
More than 1 million Puerto Ricans have applied to Fema. Around 40% of them received some form of assistance, and roughly half were referred for loans. Tens of thousands of applications were disqualified, denied, or are still in limbo, in many cases due to missing paperwork.
Yo soy la licenciada Melissa Pellicer, ¿ok? Soy parte del equipo que está asistiendo en esta ayuda legal por Huracán María. Tu reclamación, tú perdiste tu casa, Leo, y fue por inundación. O se llevó el techo.
Se llevó la casa. Al irse el techo, pues como era de madera, pues tumbó las paredes también.
¿Ya te visitó un inspector?
Sí. Él no me pidió nada, solamente miró 5 minutos y se fue.
After an hour reviewing her case, the attorney wrote a new letter for Krystal to send to Fema.
A pesar de haber perdido mi casa en su totalidad y todo su contenido, incluyendo muebles, enseres, ropa, auto y bienes de mis hijas, tampoco recibí los $500 de asistencia inmediata. Las 3 niñas listadas en mi solicitud son mis hijas y dependientes de mí en su totalidad. ¿Ves? Se tardan bastante. Puede llegar hasta 90 días en contestarte.
Proceso largo. Espero que valga la pena.
Este es tu folder.
After Krystal's meeting, we sat down with Ariadna Godreau-Aubert, an attorney and lead organizer of the clinic.
Denials go from a determination of insufficient damages, even for people who lost everything during the hurricane, or people who are lacking adequate land deeds, as they say, or title deeds, and people who simply don't understand why they were denied. We may have the exact situation in 2 different houses, the same situation, and one of them gets coverage and the other one doesn't. That happens a lot.
We wrote to Fema to find out how well the appeals process is working. As of mid-April, 400,000 appeals had been submitted, and so far, less than 1% have been approved.
What is the need that you're seeing right now?
I think that housing is going to be the most pivotal issue. FEMA is not going to solve the housing situation in Puerto Rico. We have been in an economic recession since 2006, and what we're seeing is a worsening of a housing crisis. Foreclosures, evictions, expropriations based on lack of titularity. So I think we're going to see a worsening of the housing crisis already after the disaster. And of course, the lack of assistance by the federal government and by the local government is going to be part of that chain of events that's just going to make housing so precarious for people that people is going to be literally homeless. So people are literally homeless at this point.
Puerto Rico's problems started before the hurricane. Unemployment is twice the U.S. national average, and the island's population is shrinking as people leave to find work on the mainland. The local government is drowning in debt, and in 2016, the U.S. Congress appointed a special board to oversee the island's finances. The controversial board has undermined local leaders, pushing cuts at a time when more spending is needed.
We know we're not equal. We don't vote for the president. We cannot file for bankruptcy. The United States has a responsibility responding for any kind of disaster on the island, but not just for equality, because anything that happens on the island is part of that responsibility because of colonialism.
Across Puerto Rico, houses with blue tarps are a visual reminder of all the repairs still needed. Recovery will take time and long-term federal funding and support.
Dentro de todo esto, queremos enmarcar nuestra realidad. No solamente la realidad del daño causado por los huracanes Irma y María, la realidad de una infraestructura débil, frágil, que se ha acumulado por muchos años y las necesidades de muchas familias que no tenían los recursos para poder tener una vivienda adecuada.
The federal government has pledged $18.4 billion for future housing reconstruction.
Parecerá demasiado dinero, pero les aseguro que más son las necesidades.
At this community hearing, officials from the governor's office discussed how they'd like to use the funding.
Hi, how are you? I'm Natasha Del Toro.
Outside, we caught up with Puerto Rico's housing secretary, Fernando Gil Enseñat.
Has FEMA done enough?
Have you ever been happy of dealing with an insurance company?
No. How does the government plan to address the informal housing?
One of the things that we're proposing to in that, and we will, is to give and to hand 48,000 titles around the island that we have in our database for years. And as a matter of fact, we already certified to FEMA. We gave the whole database so they can reconcile that information in order to provide that help.
This problem has existed for decades and the government hasn't really been able to address it. What's going to be different now?
That we're going to address it, that we recognize the problem, that we don't sweep it under the rug.
Officials here are hopeful that disaster funding can help everyone build their way back after Maria. But it's hard to rebuild when the local government, under pressure from Washington, is cutting jobs and services to pay back debts.
I've never said we cannot pay the debt. We have to pay some of the debt. But we have to do it allowing our people to breathe, to eat. We have to do it so people cannot continue to survive.
Carmen Yilin Cruz is the mayor of the capital, San Juan.
There's a lot of love in this room.
She became a hero to many post-Maria when she criticized the federal response, resulting in a very public feud with President Trump.
I have to go back to this because it was brutal. Coming and throwing paper towels at people and say, oh, you don't need this. I've often said, rather than being the commander-in-chief, he was the hater-in-chief. He didn't understand what his role was.
There's a lot of people living in informal housing. What happens if the government doesn't actually address these informal communities? What's going to happen?
We will be doomed not to ever do right by our people and we will make them more easy prey for anything that happens in the hurricane.
We are here today for our families in Puerto Rico.
On a rainy day in Washington, on the 6-month anniversary of Hurricane Maria, protesters gathered outside of FEMA headquarters.
Are we ready? Yes! Are we ready to fight for our families? Yes! Puerto Rico!
Some traveled from Puerto Rico or neighboring states after being displaced by the storm. Their demand was a simple one, not to be forgotten.
We are U.S. citizens. Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens, and this government has a responsibility to you, to us, and to them. And we will not let them forget us. We will not let them forget Puerto Rico.
FEMA, FEMA, can't you see? FEMA, FEMA, can't you see? What La Isla means to me.
As a territory of the U.S., Puerto Rico has no voting representation in the U.S. Congress. But it's Congress that determines how much funding and federal support Puerto Ricans will receive in the coming years.
Nobody will leave the state without power for 6 months.
Puerto Rico's voice in Congress is resident Commissioner Jennifer Gonzalez Colon. She's a member of the island's governing pro-statehood party. How does the political status impact the ability to respond?
In everything. Remember that for many years, Puerto Rico never received the same amount of federal funds because we are a territory. I represent 3.4 million American citizens, so there's no other member that represent that amount of people, and I can't vote on the floor.
Puerto Rico has a sizable diaspora on the mainland, roughly 5 million people who do have the right to vote and who've been speaking out more than ever since the storm. How important is it for Puerto Ricans to get the ear of representatives in the United States?
Members of Congress do not think about Puerto Rico as like a part of their constituency and their responsibility, and that is what's underneath this crisis. It's a crisis of democracy as much as it's a climate crisis, as much as it's an economic crisis.
Back at FEMA headquarters, we sat down with the federal coordinating officer for Puerto Rico, Michael Byrne. What is FEMA's responsibility to help people rebuild their homes?
FEMA is a supportive agency. Okay, we're not here to make people whole. We're here to help them get back on their feet. We've distributed over $1.1 billion directly into the hands of our citizens in Puerto Rico, so that they can, pay for the repairs themselves or buy the material and do it themselves, and a lot are.
Was FEMA caught off guard by the realities on the island, the fact that there's 53% of the population living in informal communities?
I don't think we were caught off guard. I think, we understood the reality of it. When you have 43% poverty, in place in a place which is double the next closest state, that's an extra kind of challenge to a disaster response. When it comes to title, actually, we've made some progress. The governor has actually shown really great leadership. We have to be good stewards of tax dollars. So I have to get some sort of validation from you that, yes, this was your home.
What would you need from the Puerto Rican government in order for FEMA to be able to help more next time?
Actually, this is what we refer to in FEMA as kind of after-action report discussions. I'm not ready for that conversation. I'm still fixing the problems as I see them.
But do you think there's a better way? I mean, does that make you think, all right, we got to do something differently here?
I am, please, let the good idea fairy please come visit us, because we're open to any good idea that we can actually make work. I agree with you. I would much rather be faster, quicker, all those things. And I think we have been fast. I mean, to get over $1 billion into the hands of people, it takes a lot to do that. But we were able to do that in Puerto Rico.
Back in Villa Hugo, residents are accustomed to not waiting for help. The next hurricane season is fast approaching, and it remains to be seen if things will get worse before they get better. But for Oscar, the job of rebuilding continues, one house at a time.
¿Y la primera vez que subiste, tenías miedo?
Cacho, me temblaba todos los pies. Los pies todos me temblaban porque yo tengo miedo a la altura. Y a la corriente, pero ya el valor de saber que voy a aprender a alguien lo hago. Ya simplemente lo hago por eso.
¿Cuántos tú crees que tú has arreglado?
He arreglado como... Podido aprender como 2.000 casas o más.
¿Y cuántos te faltan arreglar?
Como unas 500 casas. Sí, en casa, más o menos, o un poco más. Pero entonces lo estamos haciendo que no nos dé problema en el mañana. A menos que venga un temporal enorme como el que vi.